Okay, so day 5, and it's Monday morning, and I wasn't going to pay any attention to this Chrome thing again until tomorrow. Today was going to be all about working on masking this B25, but that's not fun. And overnight, Martin from MRP and Renee Molnar, hope I'm saying that correctly, guys, posted a video on the MRP Facebook page, and it also got posted, of course, to SMCG. And the gauntlet is laid down. And look, there's no bad blood here. I really do like the MRP guys. I love their product. And Martin was not a dick about it when he suggested that I might not be doing this right. My venting yesterday was really more just a matter of frustration over the overall phenomenon that we see in model making groups, with people just being totally condescending when they say, well, you must be doing it wrong, when in fact there's no way you can know that. I mean, unless you're standing there looking over somebody's shoulder, you just can't know. So that whole phenomenon irritates me, and it contributed to my frame of mind yesterday. Anyway, here is the video. So take a look at this. Now, looking at it, on one screen through a camera is probably not the best thing, but obviously you're going to look at that and go, damn, that is amazeballs. But this is also a little bit frustrating because there wasn't any explanation, just MRP31 and this video. So of course what you get is a bunch of guys assuming that this is happening using the usual method, and I contend that it cannot. And so Martin and I have been discussing it already this morning, and what I'm gathering from what he's told me is that this beautiful sample, which I admit, it looks pretty chromy. It's still a little more polished aluminum, but we're splitting hairs now. At any rate, this is on top of their 2K gloss clear without a black base. So there's a significant difference. And the reasoning of why he's done it that way is this. With a lacquer base coat, which I had obviously when I did this sample, there's going to be a certain amount of etching with lacquer on lacquer, even when you spray super dry. And Martin's theory is that that does not allow the, and this is also some of my theory, because I've seen this with all clads chrome, is that the particles don't lay perfectly flat. They essentially land on the surface, instantly etch to it a little bit, and just stick in whatever orientation they're in. And because they've got that random orientation, you don't get a perfect mirror effect. It's a lot like what happens with a gloss surface versus a matte surface, where with a matte surface you've got diffusion of reflection off of the randomly oriented surfaces of that microscopic texture. And I've seen that happen with all clads chrome, where it just lays down super flat. But then if you put anything hot on top of this, like a clear lacquer, it instantly floats those pigments and it turns into silver paint. I mean, you can see it happening before your very eyes while you're spraying it. So Martin's contention is that by using a 2K gloss clear that's impervious, at least in the short term, and at such light spray thicknesses, that it doesn't etch into the gloss surface, and so you get a more mirror-like finish. Now, I also theorize that that makes it less durable, because if it's just laying there and not actually stuck to it very well, you're going to be able to just rub it off. Well, I committed, because I love a challenge, to attempting to duplicate what Renee did exactly. And so I've got a pile of spoons right here, and I've got out my U-Paul, and I'm going to mix up some and do exactly that. Now, I do not have any of the MRP 2K clear urethane. I've got some gravity. I've got well, obviously I have some K colors because I used it. But I'm going to use this U-POL because it's automotive. It's a known quantity. I know that it hardens up pretty quickly. And it's kind of neutral territory. But I don't really think that any of these 2K clears are all that different, because they kind of depend on the basic chemistry of isocyanates and cross-linking in order to do their thing. So kind of like all lacquer paints are pretty similar but may have slightly different recipes, I kind of feel like all of these 2K gloss clears are as well. So I really don't think that the fact that it's going to be U-POL versus MRP, it really matters that much. And for all we know, I mean, MRP is just rebottling some commercial grade automotive stuff anyway. I mean, I can't see them mixing it themselves. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it directly on the spoon, so there's nothing but white with the glossy urethane surface, and then I'm going to spray several samples. I think I'm also going to do a black one, and I'm going to also do it with nothing on the spoon at all. So we'll see some differences. Anyway, back in a little while. What's up, gangsters? It is day 6 of Chromageddon, and there is work to be done. And that's good, because, yeah, I can procrastinate more on masking B25 Mitchell glass. Anyway, so, yesterday, I shot the U-POL on these samples, and this brings up a couple of things. But wait, before I get to that, there's something else I have to do to keep up with housekeeping here, and that is retest the durability of the sample that's got Molotow on it, because it's been about 72 hours, and we need to see what's going to happen with it. So let's zoom in here and check it. So you can see the mark that I made in it 3 days ago, which was a day after I sprayed it. Well, 2 days ago. I'm now 3 days after spraying. So let me rotate the Q-tip around to the clean part, and let's go over here just a little bit and see what we do. Okay, definitely more durable, but I can still rub through it. You can see there what I did, and I wasn't rubbing super hard, but it was better. Didn't come up as easily, but still not what I would call great durability. And again, it just doesn't take a whole lot to work my way through it. I mean, I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure on it. So anyway, we'll come back to this when I grab all of them for the fingerprint test. In the meantime, to get back to the MRP thing, this thing has developed into quite a little thing, because I've been, posting pictures on SMCG, and other guys have gotten into it, and Carlos Starton and I are having our continuing good-natured argument about the efficacy of using spoons as samples, and it's good. I mean, because this is the kind of open source development that really lifts the community as a whole and helps all of us get better at the craft. So, speaking of spoon samples, let's take a look at something here, because I believe this is good proof of my position, or at least good justification of my position on why spoons are stupid. Okay, so I've got these two samples, the knife and the spoon, so the flat and the convex. Both pieces of silverware came out of the exact same box. They were literally sprayed this close to each other with the same paint or same clear coat. They had the same primer on both of them. All conditions were identical, and yet the finish came out quite different. If you can see, all right, that spoon, that looks shit hot, right? Look at the reflectivity there. It looks just glass smooth. Now look at the knife. If I can get the angle right. Not quite as beautiful. All right. Hopefully you can see it as well as I can. There is a shit ton of orange peel in there. It's not showing up as well on camera. You guys, and this again also illustrates the whole absurdity of making these grandiose judgments based on things we see on YouTube and Facebook videos and pictures. When I'm looking in the little monitor on the back of my video camera, it doesn't look nearly as bad as it looks in person. But there you can start to see the orange peel, and it's got some fish eyes in it too. And honestly, I don't know why. I can't explain that. I mean, look at all that orange peel. Literally, the only difference between these two samples is that one's convex and one is flat. And yet, the material on the spoon looks far better. So you have that effect going on with the material itself, but you can also see that the reflection is much more dramatic in the back of the spoon. And this is because I think of the wide angle effect. Okay, when you look at that, because of the convex surface, it's kind of like a fisheye lens. You can see all that stuff, and both near and far, and so it looks really dramatic. But when you look in the knife blade, all you get is the giant camera right there, and there's the blinds way over there. It's just not as visually arresting, and you can see it even better when you look at the cup on my airbrush. I think this is really the best illustration. Okay, look at the reflections in the cylindrical portion. They're distorted, they're blurry, they look like a funhouse mirror. It's just a lot of black, and unless you're at it really close and at exactly the right orientation, you can't really even tell what you're looking at. But when you just roll it over there and look at the reflection in the convex portion of the cup, wow, that's amazeballs. You can see everything, but then you get that distortion. And so, again, because the back of a spoon represents such a specific circumstance that is really not that common, I mean, not that commonly encountered, with scale modeling situations. I mean, a convex surface is kind of like the parabolic surface of a car fender, I suppose, or whatever. But it's just, again, it's a much more specialized circumstance. So because you've got the high degree of polish on the back of the spoon that makes it far smoother than your model is ever going to be, that for whatever reason, the paint finish may turn out different because of the shape of the two surfaces, and because of the perception created by the reflections being different. I just think spoons are silly. I want to test stuff in a more realistic environment, something that's closer to the real world, And so even though that finish may be a little less than perfect, and you can't even see it on the white spoon, I think that something flat, like a knife blade, or even better, an actual model part, is the right way to go. But anyway, enough about that. I have to go and now make this shitty surface look better. So I'm going to polish it and then come back later and show you guys how I shoot the MRP31 on these samples. Okay, so here we go. This is the magic moment where I am ready to spray these samples. Okay, so you can see we've got nice and shiny. I did go ahead and polish this spoon up, and a fairly quick polish, not perfect, but certainly better than it was. Still got some waviness in it, but this clear coat, only being a day old, does not polish quite as well as it does if it's a week old. That is one lesson I've learned the hard way. But this also illustrates the point that I keep making about these materials. It's all well and good when you can do polishing and whatever you need to do, where it's on a, it's right out here in the open on something real easy like a knife blade or the back of a spoon. But when you start talking about real situations, like let's say you have to work around those two blisters on that wing, life is not quite so simple anymore. So, but enough about that. Let's get to the actual painting. I've got my airbrush set to about 15, maybe 14 psi so that I can spray nice and dry. And hopefully everything will go as planned. I'm going to start on the back side of this one. Oh, whoops, there's some, looks like there's some polish on that I need to clean off. So let me do that real quick. That would definitely screw up the finish. Okay, so there we go. Not bad. A little bit wavy. Few fish eyes, but otherwise not bad. So let's get to it. So again, I'm working hard to spray dry, working from further away than I normally would. All right, and there we go. Not bad. That's a nice dry layer, but I feel like you should be able to see the space between the paint flecks from all the way up there. If you can't, there you go. All right, so let me flip it over, and that's not good. Kind of wrestling with things here a little bit today. Got airbrush hose tangling problems and various other things that do not need to be happening while I am attempting to demonstrate stuff on camera. But of course, that's Murphy's Law of YouTube, right? Okay, so let's get after this one again. Okay, so there we go. And again, that's one layer, and again, you can hopefully, come on, focus up there. You can see, even in that lousy shot, how dark it is and how much spacing there is in the paint grains. So let's go for layer number 2. All right, that's getting better. It's still a bit cloudy looking though, because again, got that separation between the paint grains that helps with the reflectivity, but also makes it look a little cloudy. Okay, so there you go. There, you can see it now. There we go. That's good. Still not completely painted, but you can see the difference. Okay, let's go for layer number 3. All right, so there we go. The last bit of the knife blade there at the tip, and you can see good reflectivity. Well, maybe you can see relatively good reflectivity, but from anything more than about, I don't know, about an 1.5 inches or 2 inches away, it starts to cloud up. Anyway, so I'm not going to do all of the spraying on camera here. It just takes too long. I'm going to go ahead and shoot all of these, and then we'll come back and take a look at them when I'm done, and then we'll let them dry. I mean, they're really about as dry as lacquer is ever going to get already, but then, you know, we'll test the durability and all that stuff, because I have a suspicion that the durability is going to suffer on these samples because of the very reason that we're theorizing it will also be more reflective on the 2K, which is basically just a matter of it not thoroughly sticking. So there we go. There's one layer of that. I'm going to go ahead and just do a complete coating on these. Okay, had to take some of those over to the spray booth to spray them because I was afraid I was going to make myself high as a kite. Okay, so here we go. These are very interesting results in my opinion. All right, let me see. Well, we'll just use the bottle. All right, so just going ahead and taking a look at the reflectivity. That is pretty damn impressive. I mean, I think that's the equivalent of what Renee was demonstrating in the video that he posted. And that is pretty impressive. But I want to see how it looks on the knife blade because, again, as I keep making no secret of, I think that's a more valid test. All right, and that's pretty good. I mean, what, maybe 6 inches away? No, maybe 4 inches away there. And it's got pretty decent reflectivity. Hopefully you guys can see that on camera. There it is. Okay, there it is. Not bad. Get, 3-4 inches away. And this is 3 layers thick right there at the tip. So that is definitely a better result than what I got out of spraying the stuff onto GX2. I mean, you can see that distinctly. You lose it after about an inch there. So a much better result. I think that the reasoning as to why is correct. The material is just laying on the surface of this 2K as opposed to etching into the surface of the lacquer as it's done on this sample. And if you want to get an example of the etching, okay, and if you thought, well, why not just spray directly on the super smooth plastic spoon surface? Well, that's why. All right, MRP is not a super hot paint, but it's hot enough to immediately etch that surface of the spoon, and I'm pretty sure these spoons are polystyrene, so there you go. That's basically what's happening to the lacquer. Maybe not quite as much. All right, now for the exact duplicate of the test that that the MRP guys did without any base color on the spoon, just 2K clear directly on the spoon and then the chrome paint directly on that. So there you go. Pretty good. I think, again, that's also an equivalent result. But what I think is interesting that you can really see there is look at the difference in tonality. The white spoon looks dead nuts for polished aluminum. The black spoon looks pretty good for polished stainless steel. Neither one of them exact perfectly chrome, but I would go for the one with the black background better. All right. And then we've got the knife that's on the knife sample sprayed on white. And I ended up spraying 4 layers over here just because I wanted to really see. So right here on the end of it with 4 layers, what do we have? Try to get the camera oriented correctly. I mean, the reflectivity is still pretty good, even with 4 layers. You lose it after about 2 inches, so not quite as good as it is with 3 layers, but still very respectable for something like a polished aluminum surface. So there we go. These are good results, and I think we've learned some things here. Okay, so here we go. Last thing on this for today. A little bit of durability testing, which I confess I already cheated and did a little bit before because I was so curious, and I was really surprised. Okay, this is obviously the sample on the knife, white knife, and you can see I was able to rub through that with the Q-tip, but it was not easy to do. And I did it several other times over here with similar, pretty impressive results. That's, again, that's 4 layers right there. But let me just do it again right here on camera so you can see. All right. Again, you can see the knife bending, so you get an idea of how much force I'm scrubbing with, and it's pretty impressive. It's not coming right off of there like some of these others would. So that is really good. I mean, this whole thing has kind of turned around in a way that I didn't expect it to with this MRP, because it seems to have sort of the exact right combination of hotness with the paint and smoothness with 2K clear urethane to get a result that honestly seems to be, at this point, superior to any of the others, because it's got the reflectivity that you want with really pretty impressive durability. But let's do another form of the durability test, because Q-tips are one thing, but I have found that fingerprints are another. So let me again take this sample, since I've already been scratching on this, and let's see. I mean, I wouldn't expect, if a Q-tip won't do anything, that a fingerprint will do a whole lot worse. But something about my fingerprints that are apparently toxic, because I can rub that off of there with my fingerprint, with my finger. It's just a different deal. I don't know why a finger is different, but obviously it is. So let's see right here on this part that's got 4 layers. All right, so there we go. You can see I am eventually able to rub through that. Now, am I going to be able to handle it? Can I just burn a fingerprint into it by just holding it? We'll see. While I grab one of the other samples, let me get the K Colors sample. And okay, so let's see. You can see that I've left a fingerprint just, you know, like you normally would. But now the question is, can I wipe it off? And in fact, I can, without what appears to be any ill effects. I mean, it's a little bit dulled there. I mean, my skin oil is obviously going to do that. Let me see if I can fix that with just rubbing it with a cloth. So, not too bad. Again, it's dulled a little bit because of the fingerprint. I think you can see that there, but not horrible. Not perfect, but not horrible. I mean, that's better than I would have expected for sure. All right, now let's try the K Color stuff, which has thus far proven to be the most durable. It is even more durable than what we just looked at, and you'll see that because I am rubbing the piss out of it with my finger, and I'm ready to quit because my finger hurts and I haven't taken any off. So I think, you know, kind of knew that K Colors was going to be the durability winner early on in the test. So, you know, there, my fingerprint that I've wiped off is gone now. Okay. So, all right, next up. Okay, Ushi van der Rosten. Let's do that. Okay. There we go. You can see the condition that it's in, just like it was. And when I rub it with my finger, I mean, it's staying pretty tight. I'm impressed. Not doing too bad. I don't know, it might be a little darker. I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna just hang on to that while I grab Vallejo Max. You know what? There's not even any point in doing the Vallejo, because we already know that no amount of rubbing it with my finger is going to do anything to it. So I guess maybe you could call it the durability winner, since nothing touches it, but it's also not winning for any other reason. Okay, now you can see where my fingerprint has definitely created a dark spot there. I mean, maybe that's just, you know, it needed a second for the oil or the sweat or whatever in my fingerprint to start to come through. But you can see it is starting to affect it. It's not completely screwing it up, but it's also not without effect. So, I mean, you're not going to handle pretty much any pigment-based thing just willy-nilly and not have any consequences, but it's not too bad. Okay, so there we go. That's that. All right, all clad ALC 107. All right, so that is a lovely finish right there, and it's actually holding on to the fingerprint test better than I expected it to. Much better than I expected it to. I figured it was going to come right off. Just different. So then getting after it with the little towel, it polishes up, polishes back up, and the fingerprint is gone. That's not bad. I mean, that honestly is better. That performed better than I expected it to. I kind of feel like it's embedded itself fairly well in the GX2 base. So that's good. I mean, that's a good result for all clad, because I consider it to be one of the most fragile. And who knows, maybe the fact that it's been sitting here for a few days has had some impact, because you guys saw on camera when I got after it with the Q-tip before that I was able to do that to it and rub it off. So, maybe that's something to consider with all clad, that if you're going to use it, you need to give it a few days before you start messing with it. Maybe that's what that means. Honestly, I'm a bit surprised by that. Really would not have expected it to hang on as well. So that's not too bad. All right. So let's go to the AK477 and see what happens. Fingerprint, finger rub test. Yep, and it's starting to come loose. This is what I would have expected with the all clad. I mean, this is an enamel. It's not going to be much, if at all, burned into the surface of the base. And you can see when I clean that up with the towel, it gets even worse. So, not such a great result there. Now, okay, let's see what happens to our Molotov sample. All right, still looking pretty good. It's pretty sticky. I'm surprised it's not coming off any more than it is at this point. You can see, though, that it is definitely, I don't know, it's having an effect. You can see, not rubbing right off, but it's changing it. It's looking kind of speckly, kind of grainy almost, whatever you want to call it. But I am surprised that it's not coming off easier than it is. I really, honestly, I thought it would be screwed quickly. So that's good. Polishing it up with the cloth, though, you can definitely see what's going on there, though. If we can get the camera to focus on it, because it is pretty subtle. See that? See how it changed from over here to over here? Kind of has gone grainy. And I expect, honestly, that I'll be able to, or I would have expected to be able to burn a thumbprint into it by just holding on to it. So anyway, this is a pretty interesting result. Some kind of surprising things, some not at all surprising things, but you can kind of see what the range is here in terms of durability when I really get after it. I was going to, I expected to be letting this sample sit for another 3 or 4 days, and I may still yet, I don't know. Wow, look, there you go. Look at my finger, and look where it was laying across the Molotow there. See what it did? It transferred onto my finger. And when I go and try to wipe that off, yeah, it's done. See that? Definitely screws it up. No doubt about it. No recovery from that. Same thing here. If you go to wipe that fingerprint off, it's done. I mean, it changes it noticeably. I mean, now it just looks like glossy silver paint. So this is pretty much what I expected with the Molotow. And I'm going to let this sit for another 3 or 4 days because, again, even though I feel like we're almost kind of catering to this thing, I think I have to because I just see people swear up and down that if you just let the Molotow sit for long enough, it will become durable. And I just don't believe that's true. But, hey, I was wrong about some other stuff here, too. So we'll see in 3 or 4 days what it looks like, and then we'll wrap this thing up. What's up, gangsters? It is exactly a week since I sprayed the last of these samples, I believe, for this crazy chrome test, and it's time to wrap it up. I've been away for a couple of days working on getting this Accurate Miniatures Mitchell ready for paint. And it's been a week of slaving through masking. This thing has 50 sections of clear that have to be masked off. And some of them, like all of the ones on the nose, basically, yeah, just the Edward masks, yeah, they just don't fit. It's terrible. And all of these were done with little tiny pieces of tape. So there's probably 50 pieces of tape just right here. Anyway, enough of that whining and moaning. Let's get back to business with all of these chrome samples. I'm a little disorganized this morning. It's Saturday morning. I've barely had coffee. What can I say? Anyway, so let's get to the first order of business, which, if we can sort through all of these, is to do the last durability test of the Molotow ink, paint, whatever it is, I don't know. But I need to rub on it again, just like I did before. So there's the 2 previous spots, number 1 and number 2, and we'll go right here for number 3. Yep, rubbing right off, same as before. So look, I think I'm ready to quit giving this stuff, all of these free passes and making everybody else wait while this stuff lollygags on its alleged way to being fully cured and super durable like some people insist that it is, because it's not, and it's never going to be. This is, if it's had a week and I can still rub it off with the Q-tip, look, that's as durable as it's going to get. Sorry, not sorry, but you're going to get a shitty durability score from me. Now, let's move on to the next thing that I feel compelled to do, and that is to test these materials with 2 of the most important substances in the military modeler's toolbox. This isn't going to apply as much to you automotive guys or you motorcycle guys, and I understand that. You can skip this if you want to. But aircraft modelers who might be considering using one of these materials to replicate a polished aluminum skin will want to know this. And that is, how does this stuff survive with decal setting solution and mineral spirits? Mineral spirits because that's what the most common weathering products are made out of. If you use oil washes, you should be using mineral spirits to create those. If you're using the ready-made weathering products from companies like MIG or AK, it's almost a guarantee that they are going to be mineral spirits based. And so when it comes time to apply washes and then remove the excess, you obviously need some resistance to mineral spirits. So what I'm going to do is my standard sort of procedure after I apply washes and I come back to get rid of the excess is I take a clean Q-tip, I dip it in the mineral spirits just quickly because you don't need a lot. And this is one mistake that a lot of modelers make and that I had to train myself out of is using too much mineral spirits on the Q-tip. And so the next thing I do is I will take and blot some of that off on a little rag. Okay. Then the next thing is to not rub too hard, because you will run the risk of screwing something up if you do. So anyway, let's get to it. All right. So we have here. I'm just going to grab these out of the pile as I can. So I've got this spoon here. This is the MRP 31 over a gloss black base that was achieved with the by spraying the 2K urethane over the black. So just going to go over here on the edge because I don't want to ruin this. And oh wow, that's coming right off. See that? Hopefully you can. It's all a little bit dark, so it's kind of hard to see, but yeah, wow. See that? Yep, rubbed right off. Okay. I'm a little surprised, honestly. I thought it would do better. But it is a lacquer, and it is barely stuck on that 2K. All right, we know what's going to happen here. This is the Molotow. Oh wow, not coming off as easy as I thought. Actually, it's almost like it's not coming off as easily as it did without mineral spirits, but it definitely screws it up. Let me go for a shinier patch here. Okay, I barely rubbed that, and you can see that it definitely screws it up. It's not completely destroyed, but it's not right anymore either. You can see it. It leaves a streak, and it basically turns it into silver paint. I don't know if you can really see the subtlety there, but there it is. See how it goes from being slick and reflective to grainy looking? Yep, silver paint. Okay. All right, this is Ushi van der Rosten powder that is on the semi-gloss black finish. And let's see. Yep, comes right off, which I knew it would. But very easily removed with mineral spirits. Okay, let's see what we got here. This is That's more of the MRP. Don't need to do that again. Here we go. Let's do some K colors. I predict this will not be affected at all because it's an acrylic. And yep, pretty good. See? I'm even rubbing kind of hard. You hear the squeak? Yeah, not affected at all. So that's a super good result with that. Let's see here. This is another K colors. Don't need to repeat that. That's another MRP. We don't need to repeat that. Sorry, I'm so slow and clumsy here. Okay, Vallejo metal color. There's not even really any need to test. I mean, this is an acrylic. It's bomb-proof. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Yep, no effect whatsoever. Could have predicted that. Okay, this is more MRP 31. That's the original MRP 31. Don't need to do that. AK 477. Yeah, it's an enamel, and even though I'm sure it's fully cured, it's coming off instantly with this mineral spirit. Yeah, see? Yeah, I mean, I just like barely even look at it with the Q-tip, and it's gone. All right, last one. ALC 107. Dropped my Q-tip there. Okay, ALC 107. It is also going to come off very easily with the Q-tip. See, right there. This is only one layer thick. If I go over here to where it is multiple layers thick, it's more difficult to remove because there's more paint. But yeah, it takes basically no effort. So there you go. None of those results should surprise anybody. Because, again, that's just the nature of these materials. All right, now let's do decal setting solution. Now, if you're not familiar, Solvaset is considered the hammer of decal setting solutions. It is probably the strongest one out there. I mean, there's several of them I haven't tested, but based on my use of this over the years and commentary from other folks, I think this one's probably pretty strong. It is a combination of alcohols. You can see that. Methoxy 2 propanol, methoxy 1 propanol, you know, whatever the heck that is, they are alcohols. Because, again, decals are essentially layers of lacquer or lacquer type ink, and this is essentially a very, very weak lacquer thinner. Most lacquer thinners have an alcohol component in them. So what happens if we take the brush, and I'm not going to brush around, I'm going to just put a little dollop of Solvaset on here, because that's kind of what's going to happen with the decal. So there it is. I'm going to just let it sit there, because again, that's what you do with decal setting solutions. All right, don't need this one. This is the AK. Let's do the same thing with it. Just a little drop. Super scientific, right? Yeah, and while I'm doing this, let me just offer some commentary on scientific method. Yeah, look. Okay, this is the MRP 31. Let's see. I think that's right. I'm not sure. I'm not going to use that one. I'm pretty sure that's MRP 31 though. Okay, I'm going to set this one aside. Don't need this one. Whoops. Okay, let's see. Okay, Vallejo metal color. Not going to be affected at all. Anyway, back to the scientific method thing. I mean, look, Jimmy D likes to give me a hard time, and I know part of it's just because we're pals and he does that, about scientific method. But look, you can... I could precisely weigh the exact sample size of setting solution that I'm using here and apply them all for a specific period of time under exact humidity conditions and at a certain phase of the moon and holding my tongue in a particular position. And I could document all of that. I could generate a matrix. I could run statistics on it. And I don't believe that the answers would be any different than this sort of pseudo-scientific way that I'm actually doing it. I mean, look, because the stuff we do isn't that precise anyway. I mean, I feel like I'm a little more obsessive than average when it comes to things like mixing paint, because I'm a drop counter. I try to keep my ratios consistent, and I try to do things the same all the time so that I can always have confidence that I'm at about a 50-50 ratio, for example. But I'm no more precise than I feel like is really necessary. And so, as far as being super scientific about doing any of this, again, I think this is good enough. Because it gives us the level of qualitative results that we need to be able to make the decisions that we are going to make in the course of building our models. So now that I've got some solve set very precisely applied to all of these, let's see if we can discern any effect by taking a closer look. And I'm going to get a Q-tip again here because I am going to rub on it a little bit, even though really with solve-a-set, I mean, what I should do is leave this solve-a-set sitting here until it dries, because again, that's what normally you're going to do with a decal setting solution. If you are applying decal setting solution and then touching it again before it dries, you're wrong. It's meant to just sit there and melt the decal into place without any interference. And if you do choose to mess with it, you're probably going to have a bad time. Okay, so let's look at that. It's hard to see, but look there. You can kind of see what looks like the pigment starting to float up underneath that. It's getting kind of grainy, and I'm pretty sure you can kind of see on the edges of the puddle there that the paint seems to be kind of lifting. I don't know. It's I can see it better with my eyeball than I can with the camera. Let's try this. What happens if I take my airbrush and blow that dry? I like that. I mean, I like the method, not the result. See that? Totally screwed it up. So yeah, as expected, decal setting solutions on top of all clad, bad plan. Okay, same thing here. Let's look at the AK. Again, it looks like it's screwing it up a little bit. Let's dry it off. Yep, see that? There's a distinct goober there. not good. Okay, so fail. All right, Vallejo metal color. Now I would expect this might be affected by the setting solution, because it's acrylics, being alcohol or water based, they can be affected. Like we know, for example, that All Clad's Aqua Gloss will get softened a little bit by a strong setting solution, and it's not a big deal as long as you don't touch it. And chances are that whatever effect you get will go away in your subsequent layers of weathering and clear coats. But you can see it puffs it up a little bit there, and that might go away within like 3 or 4 hours. I typically allow like 4 hours for my Solvaset to go completely off. That's when I kind of feel like the decals are safe to approach. Okay, this is K Colors, and again, because it's an acrylic, it wouldn't surprise me if it's affected by the setting solution, and it kind of looks like it is. It's not puffed up quite as bad as the others, so I would say it's affected less than the other ones. That's good. Okay. Oh yeah, that is not good at all. Basically, that's kind of left like a crater. You may not be able to really see the relief on camera, but it's definitely a raised ring right there that you can see from 10 feet away with your naked eye. Okay, Molotow. Oh my goodness, this is, yeah, cancerous. Look at that. That looks like a radiation burn. Totally screwed up. And yeah, I mean, it basically reactivated the paint. So which kind of leads me to believe that maybe the Molotow is an alcohol-based stuff. So yep, totally screwed that up. Not good. All right, now I guess I kind of goofed up here with the MRP one, because I did it on the spoon and it didn't sit in a flat spot, but it did sort of pool here and has been sitting, and that does not look promising. So let me blow that off of there. Well, you know what? Not bad. It doesn't look as... It's almost like the meniscus of that drop sort of magnifies the appearance of the flaw. So you can see that there is an effect, but I would say it's less affected than any of the others. I mean, it's still pretty reflective right there. It's not puffed up. So that's good. I think that's a good result. I like that. So, all right, I think I'm at a point here where I am ready to summarize again, because I want to be done with this. All right, now I feel stupid because I am the one that rails against using spoons. And what am I doing? I have this one spoon sample sitting here. So just to get things back in order, let me retrieve the MRP 31 knife sample that was good, and that is this one. Okay, that's the one that's that's on top of the K color. So, all right, so that we can keep track, this is Ushi van der Rosten, and this is MRP31. All right, so now, again, I could have figured out a sort of a rating system and given all of these things a score in the categories that I feel like are important: reflectivity, durability, and how well do they match chrome, because they're all called chrome, so that's kind of the fundamental thing. But that would still be subjective and not any more precise than the conclusion that I'm going to come to anyway. So, first things first. Because these are all called chrome, and we want to decide whether or not they represent chrome effectively, let's just go for that sort of score first, all right? So this airbrush, this is chrome. And when I look at all of these, I feel like that they are all mostly a failure in terms of looking like chrome. Some of them come closer than others. And I would say the MRP31 on top of a black base is a leader in that respect. Molotow, not at all. It looks very much like aluminum. Ushi van der Rosten, not so much. It looks like polished steel. The K color 62, it does pretty well. It has that sort of darker tone or warmer tone. The Vallejo metal color, it's kind of back here with these, maybe not quite as bad. The all clad, again, it's maybe right here. It's more aluminum-y than these are, but not as bad as the Molotow. The AK-477 is kind of right there with it. So, in terms of do you really want it to look like chrome, I think I would conclude that none of them is really all that effective in duplicating real chrome, which is what I said from the very beginning. But if you must, then to me, I'm going to go for either the K colors or the MRP. One reason I like the K colors maybe a little bit better is because even though it's not quite as reflective as the MRP31 done on top of the 2K, you get more color choices here. So you could tune that a little bit more than you might with the MRP, where you really just have the one material that they offer. But in terms of reflectivity, the MRP31 is the winner. But let's go to that. Well, before I go to just pure reflectivity, let me say that if in fact what you want to replicate is polished aluminum, which more than half of these are really not only better for that, but actually pretty good at it, then I think you have to agree that All-Clad 107, AK-477 are very good. I would say just about the clear winners there, although the Molotow is also a very good representation of that. These three, not so much, but there are other shades of K colors that get you closer. So I'm going to put it up here because it will get you closer using different shades that they offer. But when you look at the MRP31 on top of a white base, okay, now that all of a sudden looks very much like aluminum, and it has to go up here as well. So the bad news, if you want chrome, you're screwed. These all suck. The good news, if you want polished aluminum, like maybe you're doing a B-17 late war, Mustang late war, whatever, you have some really nice options for getting the appearance of polished aluminum. So how do you choose? All right. So for me, durability is clearly the next most important thing, because if you can't handle it without screwing it up, then you got problems with assembly. Anything you're going to do after paint is a problem. If you just, if the slightest bit of a sweaty fingerprint is gonna ruin it. So in terms of durability, the acrylics are pretty far out there. So Vallejo metal color, very durable. It's way out front. The all clad and the AK, they go backwards. They're not so good at all. Molito, way back here. It's just not good after any amount of time, apparently. Ushi van der Rosten, I'm going to put it kind of back here, maybe a little bit behind the all clad. Again, it's okay, but it has issues with durability. And the MRP 31, not as durable with respect to just pure abrasion as the. I'm going to put the K colors up here. K colors was really good in pretty much all respects. In fact, I'm looking at the K colors sample and trying to find. Yeah, there's the Solvaset spot right there, but it's hard to see now. The K colors, I got to go way up here with it. It is, as far as I can tell, it is as durable as a plain old acrylic. No issues there. Oops, I'm getting my ordering screwed up here. Got to put the Molito back here where it belongs. MRP 31, not quite as durable in the Q-tip test as the K colors was. It just, yeah, you can see it right there. I was able to rub it off more so than I was with the acrylic system from K colors. I say system; it is on top of a 2K as well, but stuck to it a little bit more. So there you go. I mean, it is what it is. All right. Now let's look at sort of chemical reactivity of all of these. And that's, just going back to the last little test I did there with the mineral spirits and the setting solution. MRP did not do well with mineral spirits, but really none of them did except for Vallejo metal color and K colors. K colors killed it in the mineral spirits department and did really well with decal setting solution. So these two are the best with respect to those things. Molito stunk it up with the chemical test. Honestly, so did UVR. These were not quite as bad, but they were still so bad as to be useless without any sort of a protective coating. The MRP 31 failed pretty badly with the mineral spirits, but did quite well, better than anything else with decal setting solution. There's the test where I rubbed it off with the mineral spirits. So this is kind of a difficult choice here. If you're going to do decals, well, you'd have to probably go like this and choose MRP 31. If you anticipate doing a bunch of panel line washing and not being able to be very precise about it, then you might want to consider going over here. But I'm kind of getting into how I would choose the ultimate winner of this shootout. So let me do that. Let me sort of summarize how I might make this choice. Okay. Again, this is on the basis of going after a chrome or a polished aluminum finish. So that immediately eliminates Vallejo metal color. It's just too non-reflective to be a consideration in comparison to the others. Ushi van der Rosten, also not a contender, because again, it's just not the right look for either for any of those things. So this leaves us here with these contenders. When it comes to the ability of any of them to be handled as they are, okay, without a clear coat, without any protective solution on them, if that was my most important consideration, then it would be either K colors or MRP. Molotow completely out of the running in that respect. And these other two also not going to do any better, really. Maybe they do a little bit better, but not much. At any rate, it would be a choice down to MRP or K colors if durability were my major concern as far as handling goes. Now, if I was going to use decals and not paint my markings or whatever, then I would, if that was my major consideration, then it would be MRP by a little bit, not by much, because the K colors did really pretty well as well. But these other three they're out of the running at that point. Now, when I talk about how I would choose based on chemical reactivity and in consideration of mineral spirits, okay, one thing is true. Any of these can be fixed in terms of durability with a clear coat. It pretty much needs to be a water-based clear coat if it's all-clad or AK or Molotow, because you can see from just what a little bit of mineral spirits or an alcohol-based material does to these, that anything that's hotter than water pretty much is going to screw them up, and it will in fact do that. I learned the hard way a long time ago, if you shoot a lacquer clear coat on all-clad chrome, it floats the pigments instantly and turns it into silver paint. So if you use a water-based clear on any of these, really all of them, then they all become basically equal in terms of durability. But the thing is, you have to make a decision on how you like your metallic finishes to look. A clear coat is a plastic shell on your model, and it will have a slightly different appearance from just the material all by itself. How much that matters to you is a purely personal choice, but you can't argue that there's a difference. It may be subtle. You may not be able to tell. Nobody else may be able to tell. You know, in particular, if it's on a show table at a model contest, nobody may be able to tell the difference. I honestly don't think on my F86 that anybody could walk up to it and go, oh yeah, that's got all-clad aqua gloss on it. Partly because it's pretty thin and partly because it's super smooth, but also, and this is the fundamental thing, it's obviously modeled to depict something that is shiny and reflective. And so there's not a mental disconnect between the reflectivity of the clear coat and the material itself. But if you take something like a Vallejo metal color, just to use as an extreme example, okay, when it's like that, it has a natural sort of metal appearance because you can look at it and go, oh, well, it's kind of got this satin sheen to it. It's not super reflective. my brain tells me that's how aluminum looks in a slightly oxidized state. But if I take and I spray a gloss coat on this as a protective, now what I have is glossy silver paint. And there's a mental disconnect there. It no longer looks authentic like an aluminum skin. So whether or not you're going to use a clear coat is sort of a strategic and artistic decision. But it has to be said that you can fix the durability to being equal on all of these by putting a clear on top of it. So, again, that may not be a huge issue. I think you also have to consider masking, and I did not do any sort of a masking test on these, but here, let's just do a real quick one, because masking is obviously a potential issue, especially if you don't want to use decals and you need to be able to mask off all of your markings. So just a real quick masking test is worthwhile. I can tell you just from experience, especially with my F86 project, that All-Clad 107 will be affected by masking tape, and I'm going to go ahead and make this as brutal as possible. I'm going to rub it on there. The masking tape will lift that sort of first layer of ALC 107 off of the surface. I use that to my advantage on my F86 because I sort of used some masking tape to kind of just, in a very patchy fashion, go around sticking it to that surface and taking off that first layer of paint to give that kind of splotchy, reflective look that a polished or a new, relatively new aluminum skin gets after some use and some accumulation of filth. And I felt like it turned out pretty authentic. And the one reason that I did not use the AK for the F86 was because it didn't do the same thing. So let's just quickly peel the tape here, and you can see didn't have any effect on the AK. There's no paint on the tape. When I pop it off of the all-clad, you can see there is a film of paint that peeled off. You can see on the tape there. Not as much because this is an area where I had already been doing a lot of work, and that's only one layer thick, but you can see the paint on the tape there. So let's, okay, no issues to speak of that I can see with, well, hold on. It's always good to turn the tape over and see what it looks like. Nothing came off of the K-Colors sample. Lots came off of the Molitor sample, and a little bit came off of the MRP sample. Okay, and I can kind of tell on the MRP sample when I look at it. So I think that I have to conclude in terms of durability alone, K-Colors is the clear winner of this test. I mean, it's no contest. It wasn't touched by mineral spirits at all, not affected to any significant degree by the decal setting solution. I can't even find hardly where the spot was. It's right here, but I know to look for it. I know where it is, so I can find it. And it's not affected at all by tape. So from a durability standpoint, these three, terrible, as I knew they would be. This one, MRP, second place. But reflectivity, MRP. So which one do you pick? Again, it kind of depends on what you're after. But this supports the conclusion that I made at the very beginning of the thing, or alluded to along the way, that there's an inverse relationship between how reflective this stuff is and how durable it is. So there you go. Those are my sort of scientific results. Okay, so there you go. I have no idea how long that's going to end up being because I haven't gone and edited it yet. But I'm sure it will be painful, and I may end up splitting it into 2 or 3 parts. Who knows? It is what it is. I feel like I had to give it a certain amount of attention and due diligence viewable on camera because it's just the nature of this particular thing. I honestly, I did this thing for 2 reasons. One is because I see a lot of commentary on the old interwebs about achieving a chrome finish. And it's usually in the form of generalities about, oh, you can get amazing chrome, just, fill in the blank with your favorite material. That's always kind of bothered me because I've never found that to be true, at least by my own estimation of what it should look like. And so that kind of gave me the second reason for doing it, which was just to sort of check myself, to see, am I crazy? Or am I just doing something wrong? And so I wanted to revisit a couple of materials that I had tested before, because again, I had seen people posting things online that looked pretty impressive, at least in low def or on the small screen of my phone or whatever, and I just kind of wanted to make sure, okay, I am doing it right, I am thinking about it correctly, and so, just to sort of satisfy my own curiosity. So anyway, I'm glad it's done. I hope it was useful. It was useful for me. The whole sort of of play-by-play that was unfolding on Scale Modeler's critique group was good because, I got challenged on the way that I was doing it, and I was like, hey, then tell me a different way to do it, because I really, was operating on what was kind of, I think we've all considered to be sort of the standard methodology for this. And that brought out some details about using MRP that resulted in a better result that I think we can all agree is really good. And I think we have a couple of pretty clear winners, at least if you sort of look at the overall picture. So anyway, I welcome all commentary on this. If you look at it and you still think I did it wrong, by all means tell me, because we can all learn something from that. But I think this is a pretty thorough test of chrome materials, and I feel pretty satisfied that this shows the state of the art. So anyway, if you've put up with all of it, watch the whole thing. As always, I definitely appreciate it, and absolutely extend much love for putting up with all of it. Thanks, guys.